So you want to pour all your chocolate into your plate, or your dish, sorry. And this is just so that you have an even distribution of your chocolate. It cools down faster and more evenly. It makes it more smooth. So what I'm doing right now is just smoothing it out, because it doesn't come out in like this all nice pile like they show on TV shows. Instead, what you want to do is just kind of smooth it out with the back of your spoon onto your plate, just so that you have it spread out evenly. And then after you've done with that, then you're just going to take this over to the fridge and let it sit in there for an hour. Alright, so it's been an hour. And what you're going to do is you're just going to use a melon baller and another spoon to scoop out even or close to even proportions of your chocolate. So, let's see. And try and do this as quickly as you can. Okay, so this jar of water right here, the reason we've got it here is just for like cleanup purposes. Just whenever the chocolate's sticking too much to the melon baller and the spoon, we can just sort of rinse it in there, wipe it clean with a paper towel, and then keep on rolling. So we've got all of them, or as much as we could get out of this, put out onto this pan that's lined with parchment sheet paper. And so now we're going to put it back into the fridge for another 30 minutes, just so that these can set a little bit more. Alright, so we couldn't find our latex gloves, and that's okay. You can still do this with your hands. It just makes sort of a mess. You want to get them, like, just sort of the hard edges like smoothed off while you're rolling. While you're rolling, what you can do is, over here what I've got is this really cheap kind of fondue set thing going on. And what I'm doing is I'm just melting down a couple more chips of chocolate just so that we can use this as a coating. If you watch the original Alton Brown video of this, or for the Truffles instructions, what he does is he has this, he has a heating pad underneath a bowl of melting chocolate just to get it to the right temperature. Now you can do that, and I have done that in the past, but what ended up happening with me was it made more of a mess than what's on my hands right now. So what you might need to do is, well, I've just adopted this way of doing it just to make it a little bit easier. Alright, so here what we have is the melted chocolate right here. I've got my skewer that came with this mini fondue set, and then a spoon. And what I'm going to do with the spoon is kind of like what Alton Brown did with his ice cream scoop in his video. Just take a little bit, and I'm going to actually dip the top of this in the chocolate, and then swirl the bottom of it along the spoon. And what this does is it gets all the areas that need to be covered, and then also gets rid of any extra that you don't need. And then when that's done, put it into your container, which should be lined with a little bit of wax paper. You don't want your wax paper to be all up on the edges, because then that causes all sorts of problems. So there's one. Alright, so while our candy coating is setting on our truffles, what we've got here is we've cleaned it out and dried it off, and then now what we've got here is some white chocolate. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use different ways, or actually use this thing to decorate in different ways, either just dots on the top, or even just like using the side of this for lines, and it's just a little decorative touch that I do for fun. And here they are finished. Now what I've done was I dabbed a little bit of white chocolate on the top for each one, let it sit for a little second, and then swirled it around so that you have this sort of what looks like a marbling effect going on. Now as soon as you do that, please make sure to put them into the fridge, because what's going on right now with this one is that it's starting to melt a little bit. Okay. Alright, so that was chocolate truffles, and again, I'm not exactly following Alton Brown's recipe. I changed it a bit. He dusted it with cocoa powder. I just used the candy coating. His method of the candy coating does save you a lot more chocolate. I've done it before, but this version that I'm doing with the mini fondue pot was way easier to clean than the other version. Just make sure that when you are, some last tips, when you are covering up your truffles, make sure to do it as quickly as possible and in a cooler room. What happened this time around was the room was too hot, all that stuff. And just remember, the cruddier they look, the better they taste. So presentation's good, but not the high point. Okay, and that's it. And this was Blind Man's Grub with guest star. Let's see, if you like this video, please give us a thumbs up rating. Also, if you have any questions or comments, please make comments down below.